Welcome to another day filled with MLB picks with Professor MJ from Quebec City in Canada. Today we have a slate of 15 baseball games on the menu and I'm going to share with you 12 betting tips. Are you ready to get started? Well, first let's recap yesterday's plays that generated a good profit. In total, I shared 8 plays and we finished with a great 6-2 record. In fact, our 2 losses were Yankees Guardians, a run to be scored in the first inning. Both clubs had a chance to put a run on the board, but they failed to do so. And the other loss was the Braves to lead after 5 innings, but unfortunately, the game was tied at 2 runs apiece at the half of the game. But all of the other 6 plays were winners, including the Marlins that pulled off an upset against the Reds. As you can see on your screen, a person risking $100 per play earned a net profit of $319 yesterday. So let's keep it up and let's attack the bookies once again. Thank you very much for watching my daily videos. I appreciate you. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel to boost your bankroll. Let's start with the Yankees Guardians game, and this time I'm going to go with over 4.5 runs to be scored through the first 5 innings. So in other words, I am expecting at least 5 runs to be scored during the first half of the game. Well, the Yankees, they have a great offense, obviously. They have scored the second most runs in the big leagues. They are facing Tanner Bybee, who has been hit or miss this year. In fact, he has allowed zero run in 2 of his 4 starts. But if you take a look at his other 2 starts, he surrendered 7 and 6 runs. And it's also worth noting that his 2 good performances both occurred against the lowly Royals, who have scored the fewest runs in the majors this season. So it was not necessarily a great accomplishment. Meanwhile, the Bronx Bombers will send to the mound Will Warren, whose career ERA is 8.22. That's awful. So enough said about Warren. Finally, I want to conclude this pick by mentioning that Bybee has given up 7 homers, which is the 3rd highest figure in the big leagues. So again, I'm taking the over in the first half of the Yankees Guardians game. Up next, my second pick. Well, I'm going to skip the Reds versus Marlins game because I did not find a great value wager that I loved. So if we go to the Padres-Tigers game, I like a player prop bet, more specifically, Jack Flaherty over 5.5 strikeouts. Alright, sorry. Now at first that may look like an uninspiring bet because given the fact that San Diego's batters, they have struck out the least often in the big leagues this season. But Flaherty has still racked up 25 Ks in 21 innings of work this season. And also, it is worth noting that the Padres offense has cooled off recently. In fact, if you take a look at their past 6 games, they have scored a total of 18 runs, which equates to an average of 3 runs per game. So I am banking on the fact that Flaherty will rack up at least 6 punch-outs in this game. Up next, I'm going to make use of the blowout betting system to make a pick on the Orioles versus Nationals game. If you take a look at the rules, it says bet a team that lost its previous game by a margin of at least 11 runs if they are facing a different opponent today. Well, in their last game, the Orioles were dismantled by 24-2 score against the Reds. Now they are probably very happy to go on a road trip after this demoralizing performance this past Sunday. Now this betting strategy generates very few picks every season. So when this situation occurs, I like to take advantage of it. I really love its rules. It is contrarian by nature, and that is my mantra in the sports betting world. I like to go against conventional wisdom, and in this case, people are afraid to bet a team that just got smashed hard, but in this case, I prefer to support that team. I think they will bounce back nicely. When I completed my original research about this betting strategy, over 7 seasons, we racked up a profit of 16.35 units via 78 wagers. Now, in recent times, it has had some ups and downs, but I really love its rules. So for this reason, if we're following the rules that I just specified, we need to bet the Baltimore Orioles to bounce back with a solid performance, and I am hoping they will win this game straight up against the Nationals. Even though I'm not excited about the pitching duel in this game, I still think Baltimore will break out and get the W in this game. Alright, what is my fourth pick for today? In the Seattle-Boston game, I'm taking the under for the first half of the game. More specifically, under 4.5 runs through 5 innings. And as you can see on your screen, the best current odds, which obviously might have changed since then, about an hour ago were plus 106, and that's the same as 2.06 in this small format. So who knows, maybe the line has changed to plus 100, maybe minus 110, maybe plus 110. As you can imagine, it is subject to change between the moment where I make the pick and the moment where I post my video. But in this case, I really like the under to hit. And in this case, the X factor is Brian Bello, who will make his season debut. He is coming off the 15-day injured list with a right shoulder strain. Now, he made 4 rehab starts, and his performances have been a bit puzzling because he struck out 21 batters in 14 innings of work, which is fantastic. However, his ERA was 7.07, which is really bad. So we really have mixed results here. Last season, he was average with a 1.36 whip statistic, while the league average is 1.30. So he was a bit below average. His counterpart will be Bryce Miller for Seattle. He is a very reliable hurler. He was rock solid in his first 2 seasons. Now, he got off to a rocky start in 2025 with 3 and 4 earned runs. However, he was superb in his last 2 outings by giving up 1 and 0 earned run. In both cases, he lasted exactly 5 innings on the mound. So you really can count on him to do well. So that's one of the reasons why I am taking the under in this game. Up next, in the Phillies-Mets game, I will be making use of a betting system called the cold versus hot team matchup. Its rules are super simple. Bet the road team if they have lost at least 1 game in a row, and if the home team has won at least 4 games in a row. So first, let's make sure that this strategy applies to the Philadelphia-New York matchup, and it does because the Phillies have dropped their past 2 games, whereas the Mets are riding a 4-game winning streak. Now, this betting system this year has produced 25 wagers, and that led to a 12 and 13 record, which looks pretty bad on the surface, but we are mostly taking teams with high positive odds. We're often taking underdogs. So this year, despite a 12 and 13 record, we have still generated some profit by using this system. And as you can see, it is once more contrarian by nature. So we tend to pick teams that are not very popular. Over the years, it has done an okay job. I have to admit it's not my favorite betting system. So out of the 19 betting strategies that I have developed, I would argue that it is in the middle of the pack in terms of how much I trust it. So I believe the Phillies will break the Mets winning streak on the back of Chris Sanchez's arm, so I'm taking the Phillies. And for the next pick, we're also going to use that same system, which is here the Cardinals to pull off the upset in Atlanta. In this case, the Cardinals, they have lost 5 games in a row, whereas the Braves are riding a 4-game winning streak. Yeah, that's right. So now the Braves appear to be gaining their mojo back after a horror beginning of the season. But have they really turned the corner? I'm not so sure, because now Spencer Strider is back on the IR list with a dodgy hamstring. Also, Acuna is still some time away from returning from an ACL injury. So I'm not sure that the Braves are going to break out and go back to their winning ways. So far this year, it seems that every win by the Braves was a grind to the 9th inning. So nothing has come easy for them. So I really believe the Cardinals have a shot of winning this match. On the mound, the Cardinals will send Andre Palante, and in 4 starts this season, the all-important whip stat has been great. He has posted a 1.07 whip stat, which is really fantastic. So that's why I think we have a good value wager here. So I am taking as my 6th pick for today, the Cardinals to upset the Braves in Atlanta. Alright, let's keep rolling with a 7th pick, and this time I'm taking a big home favorite, the Minnesota Twins. As you can see, my official play is to go with the money line, even though the odds are quite low. You could take the run line if you prefer. I have decided to go conservative here by taking the money line, but that's my personal choice. Alright, so in this case, I'm taking the Twins. Well, both starters have a pretty high ERA, but I have a lot more faith in Bailey Ober. I think he's going to turn things around. His whip stat over the past 3 years was as follows: 1.00, 1.07, and 1.05. Now keep in mind that the league average is 1.30, and if you are close to 1, that is viewed as being great. So there's no reason why Bailey Ober will become magically a bad pitcher. I'm pretty sure he's going to turn things around, and to me this will be a get-right game for Ober. Also, he has fared well against the White Sox in his career via a 5-2 record, along with a 3.60 ERA against this opponent. So again, my official 7th pick is the Twins to win outright against the White Sox. Okay, it's time to move to my 8th pick. This time I'll back the Royals with the -1.5 run line with some positive odds, plus 102 at the moment where I made this pick. Now, well, obviously the Rockies are an awful road team, as you all know. This season they own a 1-11 away record. This is abysmal. And if you look at their prior 4 seasons, they posted 99 wins versus 224 losses. One of the reasons why I like KC in this matchup is that they qualify under a 5-star system called the Snap Losing Streak #1. So this is one of my best performing betting systems out of the 19 I have developed. In case you are wondering, there are 5 systems that I've graded 5 stars, and this is one of them. Here are its rules. Bet any team that meets the following 3 criteria. Number 1, they won their past game after losing at least 6 in a row. That applies to the Royals because they underwent a 6-game losing skid before winning their last match 4-3 at Detroit. Next, they must be facing a different opponent. Now, like I said, they are coming off a win against the Tigers, and now they are facing another foe, the Rockies. And criterion number 3, their money line today must be smaller than 2.75 in decimal format. So we're talking about odds that are lower than plus 175 in American format. In other words, we want to avoid big underdogs because this system has not fared well under such conditions. And obviously in this case, this criterion is met. The Royals are far from being a big underdog. Now, this betting strategy has made a positive gain in each of the past 3 seasons, so I really trust it a lot. For the Rockies, they will hand the ball to Ryan Feltner, who was having a decent season before getting smashed by the Dodgers in his last start. His biggest issue was giving up 6 walks in 2 2/3 innings. And I think that will shake his confidence big time. He also gave up 5 earned runs against the Dodgers. I know that we're talking about a very potent offense, but that was still a poor performance. And now his whip stat is 1.61. When your whip stat is above 1.5, that's bad. So he has been quite bad. Now is Kris Bubic turning the corner for the Royals. He was ordinary between 2020 to 2023, and then he showed a lot of promise last year. So in just 30 innings pitched, he still got an ERA of 2.67. And now, so far this year, his ERA has been 1.88, which is fantastic in 4 starts this season. It's also worth noting how Colorado owns a 215 batting average against lefties, so things are not boding very well for Colorado. So again, my 8th pick is the Royals with the run line. You could go with the money line if you wish. In this case, I've decided to take a shot with the Royals and the associated run line. Up next, the Dodgers are facing the Cubs, and my pick here is to go with Shota Imanaga to record at least 5 strikeouts. First of all, how have the Dodgers struck out this season? They have struck out the 13th most time in the majors. Now this year, Imanaga has obtained the following number of strikeouts in his starts: 2, 4, 4, 4, and 7. So this bet owns a 1-4 record this season. But it's worth noting that he needed just 1 more for the bet to win on 3 occasions. And if you look at last year, let's pretend that you would have placed a bet on Imanaga to get over 4.5 punch-out in each of his starts. You would have obtained a nice 19-10 record. So I am very hopeful that he will pick up at least 5 Ks today against the Dodgers. That's pick number 9. And let's move on right away with pick number 10. I'm taking the Astros to beat the Blue Jays and Chris Bassett, which will not be an easy task. One of the reasons is I'm fading the pummeled pitchers betting system. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that there are 3 strategies, three of my betting systems that have done so badly in recent years that I've decided to go against its betting recommendations. The pummeled pitchers is one of them. If you take a look at its rules, bet the road team if they either, and then you have three possible situations. The one that applies to today is the Blue Jays are the road team and they lost their past 3 games by allowing 7+ runs in each of those defeats. As a matter of fact, they have given up they have given up 7, 8, and 8 runs in their 3 most recent matches. And since they are on the road, well, if you follow this betting system, you would be tempted to bet the Blue Jays. But like I said, this system has obtained such poor success in recent years that I'm going against its recommended plays. In fact, since 2019, we have obtained a ROI of minus 9.9%, which is really awful. Alright, now Houston has won 5 of the past 6 meetings with Toronto. I know it's a very scary bet because Chris Bassett is starting for the Blue Jays and he has been phenomenal. He has allowed a total of 2 earned runs in 23 1/3 innings. But obviously that cannot last forever. And in his career against Houston, he has not been that great. More precisely, he owns a 5-5 career record against Houston, and his ERA has been quite ordinary at 4.16. And by the way, last year he lost both encounters with the Astros, while also posting a 7.71 ERA. Meanwhile, Blanco will start for the Astros, and in 4 appearances against the Jays in his career, he owns a superb 1.69 ERA. So he's probably licking his chops. He loves facing Toronto. Now he is having an awful start to his 2025 campaign via a 1.68 whip stat. But to me, this will be his get-right game. So that's why I am opting for the Astros to win straight up. And that is pick number 10 for today. Whew! I hope you are enjoying the content. We have 2 more plays to go. So let's keep rolling with pick number 11. And this time I am going with the over for the first 5 innings of the Pirates-Angels game. Let's see the notes that I've got about this game. So more precisely, I am expecting at least 5 runs to be scored during the first half of this match. Well, Bailey Falter is starting for Pittsburgh and he's been very inconsistent throughout his whole career. And that's one of the reasons why I expect him to fall flat on his face today after tossing 7 scoreless innings against Washington. Also, his road ERA has been 5.16 since 2023 versus 4.40 at home. And I really believe that LA will put many runs on the board against him today, especially early on in the first 5 innings. Meanwhile, Jose Soriano is definitely a better pitcher than his counterpart. But he also has some ups and downs. He was decent in his last outing by squandering 3 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings, but he also allowed at least 1 runner to reach base in every inning. So that's not great. He is definitely a promising prospect in my mind, but right now he is far from being invincible. So I think the Pirates will get some runs early in the game as well. So that's why overall I expect at least 5 runs to be scored in the first 5 innings. Alright, and now we have 1 more pick to go, and it also qualifies under the blowout system. So this is quite strange because this strategy on average will produce maybe 15 or 20 wagers per season. And now on the same day, we have 2 teams qualifying under its rules. Can you guess which team it is? Well, if you remember its rules, so we are betting a team that was dismantled by a margin of at least 11 runs in its last match, and now they are facing a different opponent. That's right. For this reason, I'm going with the Ace to beat the Rangers. So I'm taking the Ace money line. In their last match, they were destroyed 14-1 in Milwaukee. So I expect them to bounce back, whereas most of the betting public may be tempted to go with Texas. Since April 12, the Ace own a 5-3 record. They have been playing some very decent baseball in my mind. Osvaldo Bido's 2025 campaign has been quite puzzling. Here is why. He holds a stellar 2.61 ERA, but a very poor 1.45 whip stat. So to me, that means he's been quite lucky. There has been some traffic on the bases, but somehow he managed to escape the danger. Also, did you know that he failed to record any strikeout against the White Sox in 5 2/3 innings? That is quite strange as well. So yet he has given up either 1 or 2 runs in each of his 4 starts this season. So he is a bit of a source of concern, but Patrick Corbin is also a huge question mark. To me, he has been one of the worst pitchers since 2020, so he is extremely unlikely to return to form despite a decent start with his new club so far in 2025. I really have trouble trusting Patrick Corbin. He is quite bad. Alright, so there you go. Here are 12 free picks for you in Major League Baseball. So I thank you very much for watching this video. I appreciate you very much. So I'll see you again tomorrow with more betting tips.